to sex and desire. So women in general, when they are stressed and feel anxious, it definitely lowers their desire, their libido, because they're so preoccupied, with what they have to do, with the kids, with the housework, with work, and so we see that. And for men, it can be just the opposite. It could be a way to release stress and reduce anxiety. For example, there's also another difference in the way people respond to stress and anxiety. Currently, during quarantine, studies show that some couples, their sex life improved significantly, because it's a way for them to, first of all, they spend more time together. So it's a way for them to cope with stress and anxiety. There's a lot of anxiety right now about, a lot of uncertainty. And some couples, the stress and anxiety actually led their sex life to, it's negatively affected their sex life. So it's really different. Everybody responds to stress and anxiety differently, and sex is affected differently.
Yeah, amazing. That's very, very interesting. So how do you help couples reignite their passion when you're treating them?
That's our biggest challenge, right? So
right. Absolutely.
Many interventions we use in counseling indirectly help increase desire. So when you help couples improve their communication over time, they experience a better sense of closeness and intimacy. I often encourage couples to start dating again. I give couples homework to go on dates, to create romance. I also work with clients on communication about sex. You have to talk about sex. Talk about what turns you on. Talk about what you don't like, what you like. Couples refrain from talking about sex, about their pleasure, what gives them pleasure.
They don't always know, by the way.
Right.
A lot of people don't even know what they like and what they don't like. So that's sometimes you kind of have to take a step back to take a step forward with that.
Absolutely.
And what about getting them to how do you counsel them to create more mystery, which will increase their desire? How does that come in?
That's a really good question, because desire, as we said, requires knowing about your own fantasies and your partner's fantasies. So I do, as funny as it may sound, I do encourage couples to create some distance sometimes, So you have to create that healthy distance to recreate the fantasy of what it's like to get back in touch with, my ability to come in contact with my partner again. So you want to miss your partner just a little bit. So you create this fantasy of what it's like to touch my partner again, to see my partner again, to have sex with my partner again. So that's very important. And also we know that the biggest turn on that people have is when they see their partners radiant and confident. You want to see your partner taking care of themselves too, because that really increases desire. That's extremely important. And, finally, we also want to increase admiration and affection in the relationship to make sure that each individual feels desired, feels admired, feels touched. Touching and creating intimacy without intercourse, for example, is something that I like to prescribe. I tell couples, because sometimes they get into this pattern of, feeling so pressured to have sex, and to count the number of sexual encounters they have during the week, especially in long-term relationships. And I try to take it off of their shoulders. I tell them, just forget about having intercourse. No sex for you for 2 weeks now. Just go sit naked with your partner and just, touch each other, engage in the foreplay, because
the foreplay is so important. The foreplay is so important. So I would love to ask you, because I know that this is an issue in a lot of relationships, how does betrayal affect intimacy and sex?
Okay, so, when it comes to betrayal, I see some interesting effects on intimacy and sex. Betrayal is definitely, no doubt, an injury to the relationship. Generally, when trust is lost, intimacy is lost as well. The two are very much connected. But sometimes we see something very interesting, that initially, after the discovery of betrayal, and we talk about betrayal right now, mainly we're talking about extramarital affairs, because there are different types of betrayal.
Of betrayal, yes.
But so initially what we see is just the opposite effect. The betrayed partner experiences an increase in sexual desire that almost comes from the need to feel desired and chosen by the partner again. So sometimes what we see initially is actually an improvement in their sexual relationship, but this is a temporary way to repair that deep wound, that deep injury, and it may go away, and it also does not address the emotional effects of the betrayal. So we need to.
That's just what I was going to say. You might want to be with your partner a bit more, but it's going to be very hard for you to trust them, and that's going to come up in different ways in the relationship, I'm sure.
Right. So we want to address these emotional injuries, and not to let them, not to let them stay under the rug for too long, because it will come back. It will, flood you.
Yeah. What is the first step someone should take if they want to repair their relationship?
So the first step is always to communicate with your partner about your dissatisfaction and where you stand, because especially among long-term relationships, couples, they forget to talk over the years. They don't know how to talk. They have a very their conversations involves the kids and the finances and bills and very little about their own relationship, about their satisfaction or dissatisfaction. So communication is key.
Communication is key. We have to. This was so interesting. Orly, thanks so much for taking the time to be with us on Divine Couples.
Oh, it's been my pleasure, Naomi.
Thank you
for having me.
Of course. And if you would like more information about Orly Gueron, you can visit www.orly, O-R-L-Y, Gueron, Gueron.com. You can also visit Orly's Facebook page at Orly Gueron, Licensed Marriage and Family Therapist. Thanks again for being with us on Divine Couples. Feel free to check us out at www.divine-couples.com and at divine.couples on Instagram. We are adding intimacy, passion, and healing to your lives. Thank you so much for joining us on Divine Couples. I am your host, Naomi Slater.